Tallahassee. Welcome to another episode of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce podcast, your favorite way to find out all the best intel and information about what's going on in the business community here in Florida's capital city. We are delighted to bring you another wonderful guest today. We have been plowing through these episodes now for over a year, and everyone tells me it's the best podcast they hear when they're out and about in town. What about you, Sarah?
Yep, best one.
Yeah, I mean,
rated number one on all platforms.
Definitely rated number one with my parents. So
mine too. My grandma's in there too.
I feel pretty good about it, and certainly our chamber staff loves it. So we feel good about it, and we hope you feel good about it, folks. And one of the things we definitely feel good about is our guest today. We have a wonderful story for you. You might remember last year when we brought you an episode featuring our student representative on our board of directors. And if you don't know, each year we rotate between FAMU, Florida State, and TCC with a representative of their student body to serve on our board of directors, which again helps our board stay in touch with what all the kids are up to these days, right? Or more importantly, what's going on our local campuses and how we can be better engaged in the constant effort to retain talent here in our community. And today we have a wonderful guest again with you, Rochard Moricette. Rochard is the student body president at Florida A&am University. We had Rochard in our board orientation a couple of weeks ago, and we said, well, we got to get him on the podcast. He stole the show in that room, and I'm sure he's going to steal some shows in some rooms near you soon. But Rochard, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've always wanted to be on the radio, so here we go.
We're all about making dreams come true. Hey, look at there. See, we're just finishing each other's sentences.
Since last year.
I've been on a podcast before, so this is the first. Hopefully it's not the last.
I'm sure you will be on much bigger and more important ones than this in the future, but we are glad to have you here and glad to have this be your first podcast. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Rochard? How did you come to be the student body president at the great Florida A&am University?
Oh, man. Now you're asking for a really long story here.
We got time, man. Hit us.
Yeah, so, again, my name is Rochard Moricette. I'm a fourth-year agriculture business student from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I currently serve as a student body president and university trustee at Florida A&am University. And it's a pretty remarkable journey, if I don't say so myself, because it really is a testament to the phrase, there's power in the tongue. So I remember when I first came to Florida A&am University back in the fall of 2016, and freshmen always move in like a week ahead of the start date for classes. So we'd had a lot of events going on campus, and one of the traditions that FAMU has is called the freshman pinning ceremony. And so at the freshman pinning ceremony, it's essentially a rite of passage, and there's a script. Being on this side of it, you read the same script every year, so it's no fun. But on the, my freshman year, I was excited because it's a script full of big fancy words and traditions and stuff like that. So it really fills you with that FAMU spirit and passion. And I remember seeing student government leadership up on the podium, and they were, leading the ceremony, and I was like, man, those guys are so cool. They came in suits and everything with a FAMU tie, and they were FAMU decked out. And I was like, wow, I really want to be in their shoes one day. And I want to say a couple days later, I actually got a chance to, completely by chance, I bumped into the student body president, or the then student body president. His name was Jalen Smith. And we were in the bookstore. I think he was grabbing a polo, and I was getting my books. And I was like, hey, I don't know what came over me, honestly, guys. I was like, hey, you don't know me. My name's Rochard Moricette, and I'm going to be in your position one day. And he laughed. He laughed, and he said he admired it. And we exchanged numbers, and campaign season came, and I ran for freshman senator my freshman year, and I worked my butt off, and I was able to move up the ranks and became activity and service liaison. Essentially, I oversaw the budget, or I was the vice chair of the budget committee. And then
it's a powerful spot to be hanging out.
Man, listen, as a freshman working with like 2.5, 2.8, however much $1 million the budget was, oh man, I didn't know my left from my right, but hey, we made it happen. But my sophomore year, I served as a vice president, essentially, of the legislative branch, and then my junior year, Senate president, which was probably one of my most rigorous times or positions, I want to say, because while I was preparing for that, or while I was in that role, I was also preparing for that campus-wide campaign in the spring semester of this year, actually, spring 18 or spring 19, I should say, for SGA President. And that's really been a blessing. I've truly enjoyed serving in this capacity. I get a chance to travel and represent the university and the student body on all levels, statewide, national level, local levels, and it's really an outstanding opportunity because a lot of times I'm that individual's first impression of FAMU, and hopefully I'm setting a good example because there's a lot of first impressions that I've made out there. So that's just a little bit about how I came about this position, and yeah, it's really a remarkable story. And I tell people all the time, like, listen, if you really want something, speak it to existence and go after it, because once you say it, you got to go out there and chase it, right?
Tell us a little bit about what being the student body president at FAMU is like every day. What do you do? I mean, it's been a few years since Jay and I have been college students, but I remember how busy of a schedule it is just taking classes alone. So tell us a little bit about what you do every day and some of the things that you are accomplishing as the student body president.
Well, yeah, it's pretty hectic. I'll say that much. I have a work phone, which I never thought I'd actually have. So that shows you that shows you a little something. So I have meetings on the daily. I serve on multiple committees across the university, search committees, for example. Currently, we're filling the director of student activities and the coordinator of student government vacancies right now. So I have those responsibilities to juggle, as well as maintaining my staff, which is the executive branch. We are about 24, 25 strong right now. And without my chief of staff, who's my right hand, and my vice president, who's my left hand, I would be a chicken with his head cut off, because the role really deals with the administration component of the university. So you deal with the vice president of student affairs, the university provost, university president, different directors within the division of student affairs versus your daily day-to-day operations or internal relations for student government. So it's really on a larger scale, but you still got to make time for your constituents. So whenever a student has a concern or whenever a student has a need that they need to be fulfilled, I can either point them in the right direction or I can resolve it myself. So I have office hours, 20 of them every week, and I go above and beyond. I'm usually there about 40 hours a week, but I'm not going to say that. But so I have an office that people come into, or they can always give me a call, text me. One thing that I realized in years past is the student body presidents have not always been the most accessible individuals, and so that's something that I really wanted to change. So my contact information is on all social media platforms that I have and operate. I'm very interactive, and I engage with my peers on social media. Sometimes they'll have ideas and they'll tweet it out and they'll at me, and they'll be surprised when I say, hey, that's a great idea. I actually like that. Let's run with it.
You go walking into Dr. Robinson's office, say, hey, I had this tweet earlier, and
we
honestly, need to talk a little bit.
Honestly, Dr. Robinson, he's on Twitter too. So sometimes we get tagged in a lot of things, and sometimes they're not feasible. Sometimes they are feasible, and a lot of times you'd be surprised where the greatest ideas come from the most unsuspecting places. So it's a pretty hectic schedule that I manage, but I definitely have to make time for my academics because, my GPA is still pretty high, thank God. Trying to graduate summa cum laude on May 1st, 2020 at 6 p.m. Also, I think I invited you on.
You did.
That'd be awesome. So I'm still trying to, find that balance. It's always, every year is different, trying to find a balance between your academia and your extracurricular activities. Once you find that perfect balance, and it changes every year as the rigor for your coursework lighten or increases depending on the courses that you're taking and the positions that you serve in. And really, once you find that perfect balance, you're either going to stay up all night studying or you're going to make time in the day studying. I'm a night owl, so I have to study at night after 10 o'clock. My phone's on Do Not Disturb. SGA's turned off, and Rochard, for the academic side, the brainiac, turns on till around 1, 2 o'clock. So it's a lot of late nights, but it's sacrifices that I make for the position, and I absolutely love it.
What kind of, obviously you're doing this with your role here at the Chamber, but what other interactions do you have as student body president with the community?
So with the community, we have a lot of vendors that do business with Florida A&M University, and they're local vendors. So sometimes we'll have catering for our different events, or sometimes we'll have to use them for T-shirt orders for the student body or different functions that we might have at their venues. So we have a lot of interactions with them. We have over 1,000 vendors in our system, both local, both on the national level. So we have a lot of interactions. I get invited to community events all the time. Sometimes churches will have a college night or a college service, and I'll get an invite, and I'm responsible for getting a lot of students out there. I try my best. Or sometimes whenever there's a community service event going on, sometimes the Tallahassee Urban League will invite me to go out there and, do some community service with them. I've done that a couple times, and it's really an awesome experience. So any chance that I get to interact with community organizations or entities, vendors, I definitely take a chance on it, because your network is your net worth. You definitely want to expand, your network.
Absolutely. We spend a lot of time here at the Chamber trying to dream up creative ways to show our student bodies that that this is a place they can choose for the long haul, and that this is somewhere that if they want to build a career, it's a great place to do that. So we're always looking for feedback, and we're curious, what are the things that your fellow students talk about as it relates to Tallahassee these days? Do people feel good about the experience they have as a student in Tallahassee nowadays?
Nowadays, I feel like we're not in Orlando.
Yeah.
We're not a super big metropolitan area, but Tallahassee has a lot of things that make it unique. That's one thing I'll say. We're a very unique town. Even though it feels like a small town, it's actually pretty big. Yeah. Tallahassee is larger than you think. I'll say that much. It's definitely larger than you think, and it has a lot of cultural dynamics to it. You have a lot of culturally diverse food options, different chill areas that students can hang out with. The night scene is pretty lively. It's a college town, so what else do you expect a college town to have? It's dominated by a lot of frats and sororities. So whenever it comes to like the lively sides, the fun sides, the parties, different things like that, definitely the place to be. But then you also look at it's the capital, so there's all kinds of people that you'll interact with, from lawmakers to corporate executives to other fellow students who are doing incredible things in the community. So I think students will really, we understand that it's not in Orlando, so you're not going to have a Universal Studios here and there. We don't have those theme parks, but we make up for it because you definitely feel the community bond a lot more than you would in a metropolitan 2 to 3 times the size of Tallahassee. So it's a college town. You make it what you really, your experience here is what you make it. If you're one of those who don't want to get out in there in the community and invest or investigate and see what you can get yourself into, get your hands wet, get your feet wet, then you're not going to enjoy yourself. But I think that's standard no matter where you stay at. So those students who have gone out in the community and gotten involved and really joined different things and gotten real active and engaged Tallahassee, then they're making the most out of it. And usually those are the students that I surround myself. So it's safe to say we're having a good time. We're enjoying it here. we're having a darn good time.
I'm glad to hear that. While Tallahassee is our home and we all love it, we're champions of Tallahassee here at the Chamber. You shared with us that SGA is statewide and you have some opportunities to travel and get involved in various places. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, SGA is a statewide entity, and so a lot of people, really, when you come from the high school to college level, it's easy to think that it's just an internal thing, but we do advocate on a statewide level. So prime example would be the Florida Student Association. Excuse me. So the Florida Student Association is a board comprised of the 12 state university SGA presidents and their supporting staff. And essentially, we collectively advocate for over 350,000 students. That's a lot of people. I'll just throw that out there. That's a lot of people. And fun fact, we are the #1 state university system in the country. So if you didn't know, Florida is #1. So
it's good to brag.
It's good to brag. You got to throw that out there for my people who are listening in California or New York or Texas. Just throwing shots. But collectively, we advocate for 350,000 students, and this year we have, well, every year we host something called Rally and Tally. The names, we inherited the name. So Rally and Tally, it's essentially the Florida Student Association Day at the Capitol. So we have students literally from across the state of Florida who come up here for 2 days, and we interact with state legislatures. We advocate for FSA's legislative priorities. This year we have 2 main priorities, which is the textbook affordability. Well, really, I say 4 main priorities. We have textbook affordability, which is, and it's a bill that we're taking on where we're trying to decrease the textbook tax. So that's going to help alleviate. I think it's an appropriation of roughly $300,000, I believe. Yeah. So that's really an awesome bill. It's an awesome responsibility because we're college students. You guys know how it was. Ramen noodles. That's not a theory. It's actuality. We had those moments where we didn't have a whole lot. So education's expensive. Why have to charge students X amount of money for textbooks that they need to graduate or take the courses? So making textbooks more affordable is one of our priorities. Another one would be food and housing insecurity. A lot of students, my peers, for example, don't have somewhere to sleep at night. And it's a harsh reality that a lot of us often overlook because we don't think that it exists, but it's out there. You have a lot of college students who are in the classroom, they're changing, their clothes are perfectly fine and fresh, but then look at where they're sleeping. If they're not sleeping at a friend's house or on a couch, then they're sleeping in some kind of local shelter, and you would never know. So definitely want to see what we can do to help advocate for resources for those students because they deserve all the equal access and opportunity across the state of Florida. Also, definitely want to raise awareness for sexual assault across the state of Florida. And the 4th priority, I believe, it definitely slipped my mind. Food and housing insecurity, textbook affordability, sexual assault, and definitely forgot the 4th one. But
3 out of 4 get you in the Hall of Fame most times. So. Pretty good, though. No, I mean, it sounds like you're getting to experience such a wide variety of what makes our community great. I mean, that advocacy, being able to literally walk up to the Capitol
for sure.
As a college student is pretty cool.
What's that?
Mental health.
Health.
Oh, absolutely.
Awareness.
No, huge.
Yeah. No, I don't even got to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have much engagement with our local governments at all? Have you had any issues or anything that pops up with City of Tallahassee or Leon County or anything like that where y'all have ever engaged?
Not this year,
Yeah.
but in years past we have.
Good.
Definitely around election season.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest times where candidates will engage students because the student vote 9 times out of 10 shifts the entire tide because I said, our age range is really, I want to say we make up at least 30% of Tallahassee's population. Our age range from 15 to about 25. I don't know the numbers, but I'm going to put my next paycheck that is north of 30, that age range right there. And so they definitely want to engage the youth voters. So we have a lot of forums when we have candidates for local commissioner seats or the mayoral seat candidates. Like we'll have them come in and they'll do a forum. All of them, of course, because we gotta be fair across the board, nonpartisan. So on the local level, that's really the level that we've engaged at. But we are set to have dinner with the mayor next week, so that's gonna be awesome to see. Meet with Mayor Daley and see what his plans are for the city and how us, both FAMU and FSU and TCC, can really engage and support the city because, like I said, we are student leadership. If really the city goes how the students go. Like I tell them all the time, we're the greatest stakeholders at the university. There's no FAMU, there's no FSU, there's no TCC without the student bodies. So really, I'm really excited for that dinner and really engaging him on a local level. So really it's endless opportunity. So really gonna see what the doors are for us. So.
Sure.
Well, make sure you tell the mayor you had a great sit down with the best podcast team in town.
He's actually sat in that exact seat to record a podcast with us before.
Awesome.
You're
Check
in
it out.
You're in great company.
I'm not surprised.
When we met you first at our orientation, we talked a lot about the Chamber's priorities. One of those is talent, bridging the talent gap, getting students into the right schools and staying in school and finding the right career paths for them, whatever that may be.
Definitely.
We kind of uncovered in that meeting that you had a passion for youth. On that note, I just wanted to kind of ask you a little bit about your history. Like, where do you come from? What makes you, tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Haiti. April 15th, 1997 is a national holiday in some cities. You never know.
It's tax day around here.
Unfortunately. We came to America. My family came to America in December of 2004. It's a typical story in search of better education, better opportunities for the family. So I'm just going to be brutally honest. I saw my parents go from, making decent livings to having to scrub toilets and working late night shifts as a cashier here and there just to provide for my family. So we didn't have much growing up, and we still don't have a whole lot growing up as of right now, because my parents came from the latter half of their lives, like late 40s, I want to say. And so that with the language barrier and having to raise 5 kids with no real income or source of income, sizable source of income, I should say, has really made it really tough for them to pursue their education. So really, I learned at an early age that is an investment in me and my siblings. It's really up to us, because that's a sacrifice that they made to ensure that we have the best education possible so that we can live in a lifestyle that they can only dream of. And so that really forced me to, in high school, I came to the understanding that, okay, college is expensive. There's a comma in every single one of these categories and a dollar sign. And
that doesn't end after college.
Oh, man, I'm learning. And so I'm like, okay, with the income that my parents are making, how am I going to pay for school? Wow. And then not only that, but my older sister was at a community college at the time, at Broward College down in Broward County. She was still struggling. My parents were struggling to put her, through community college. And I'm like, wow, if they're struggling with community college, this is a vision for me to attend a Florida State, a FAMU, a University of Florida, UCF. It's only a dream. I can't make this. I can't make this happen. And so I was like, they can't support it, so how am I going to support myself? And I realized that your GPA pays some bills down the line. Your test scores pay some bills down the line. So I really had to invest myself, my time, my resources into my academics. And I applied into every single school in the state of Florida. I believe it must have been like 15 applications that I sent out. And thank God I got accepted to every single one of them. And
wow.
I know.
How often do you use that line when you meet with the rest of the student body president?
I usually don't. I always tell them I don't say it. Whenever I do share it, I never say it to brag on anything. I always it's the end of the story. I'm gonna get to it. But not only that, I got accepted into all of them. Got scholarship offers to every one of them. And I applied for local scholarships, this national, statewide scholarships, every single thing that ended with the word scholarship or grant. Rochard applied to it because I knew that I had to put myself through school. I couldn't put that burden on my parents. And so down the line, come May, I took a college tour and I fell in love with FAMU. And FAMU offered me a full ride scholarship. And so I'm here on a full ride. My parents have not spent a single dime to put me through school. And I believe I led by example, because now my brother is in the same boat at Florida State, pursuing a computer engineering and some other engineering degree I can't pronounce completely for free because
awesome.
Because of the precedents that I set, as his older brother. And now we have 2 other siblings who are going to come through. My sister is the first college graduate for us in our family. She graduated from Florida Atlantic University last year, and so I'll be the second one. My brother's going to be the third, and we have 2 little siblings who have no choice but to put themselves through school, because we learned not to put that burden on our parents. And I only say all this to say because, it wasn't always sunshines and rainbows.
Sure.
We had some rough times. I've come home plenty of times to dirty dishes in the sink, and I cut the faucet on to do the dishes, and it's a couple of drips because the water gets cut off. Or the water got cut off, I should say. We didn't pay the bill in time. Or have to do homework by the by the library because we don't have lights at home or access to internet because of, again, financial situations. And I share this story because the situation that you're in right now, whatever level you're at, whether it's a college student struggling or a high school student struggling, that doesn't define where you're going to be at all. That has nothing to do with where you're going to be. That's just a part of your story. That chapter, it comes to an end, but what kind of end do you want it to be? Do you want it to be an end that's going to set up the next chapter for more success? Or do you want it to be a repetition story, an endless circle? You got to break that cycle. Work hard, figure out what your goals are, figure out what your passions are, find out what you want to do with yourself, and really put your mind to it, put the pen to the paper, get out there, put some action behind that motivation, fuel that fire, and really dictate where the next 5-6 years of your life is going to be. And that's why I tell students all the time whenever they come on tours. I've been there. You know, it wasn't always sunshine, nice suits, fancy shoes for me. Not at all. I've had those days, but that doesn't define me at all. My current situation don't define me.
I think you might have a future in motivational speaking.
Yeah. I'm ready to go run through a wall. That's
yeah.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you that because I think that you're a great example of a success story. And I think that there are, a lot of people we hear all the time that it's just kind of hard. The paperwork's hard. The whole path is hard. So I just wanted to hear you elaborate on that because I think it's a great, inspiring story. But one thing that we haven't really asked you yet, and I think that you should share, is tell us a little bit about what you're studying and kind of what your future career looks like.
Okay, awesome. So I'm majoring in agriculture business, which is a really dynamic degree that encompasses all aspects of business, but focuses on the agriculture sector. So with this degree, you get exposed to accounting, you get exposed to economics, lots and lots of economics. It's basically an econ degree, y'all, honestly. But you get econ in the traditional business aspect, but then you get econ flipped to focus on agriculture. So agriculture, econ, marketing, management, all types of things like that, and ethics. So it's a real diverse degree. And with this degree, you can go into the USDA, into government jobs, or you can go into corporate America, or you can go into Wall Street and go invest. So it's really cool because you get exposed to all of the general business administration courses. And you can, with this degree, you can minor in anything that you really want, as long as it relates to business or it's tailored towards business too. So you really can. The path is yours, honestly. And so with this degree, I plan on pursuing a career as a pharmaceutical sales rep. I love talking to people. I'm a true extrovert. I don't know if you guys can tell. So I'm going into sales with a company called Elanco Animal Health. And so with Elanco Animal Health, I'll be a pharmaceutical sales rep. Not sure where my location's going to be, but
it won't be as good as this one, I can tell you.
Probably not. You can't come to Tallahassee, honestly. But I'm going to be in a place where you're really going to geo-flexible, so it could be on the other side of the United States, north, south, wherever it is. I'm excited because that uncertainty or that unknown factor, I think it breeds opportunity.
Sure.
In my opinion, breeds opportunity. So that's really my goal, and find somebody to pay for my master's degree because I definitely want to go back for an MBA. So I'm not paying for it. Somebody's going to have to pay for it. So somebody in corporate America is going to pay for this degree. So doing that and then keeping my goal or my main focus to, continue to climb the corporate ladder and increase my income, but also increase, what I'm giving back to my churches and my communities and where I came from and supporting my family, because every decision that I make, again, I make it with all 6 of them on the back of my mind because it affects everybody.
Well, Rochard, I think, we've only known each other for a few weeks here, but I can tell you after a couple of strong interactions, I feel pretty confident in that career path, and I think you're going to make it just fine, my friend. It's always great and impressive to meet someone with lots of ambition, lots of drive, that willingness to work ethic means everything, and you've got an impressive story. You're doing impressive things at Florida A&amp. I think we are all, again, confident that we'll see some impressive things from you down the road. And just remember us little people here who gave you your shot on your very first podcast, because one day I think you'll be on to some some big things. But any final thoughts or things you might want our listeners to know about the FAMU student experience these days, or ways that we can all help the FAMU student body have a better experience while in Tallahassee?
Well, I think it's the word that we're all looking for is the elephant in the room. It's called invest.
Yeah.
You have to invest. You have to invest in this city. You have to invest in this resources. And you have to invest in this city's talent pool, because both Florida State and Florida A&amp University and TCC, we have one of the best student body populations that you can imagine. We have brilliant students pursuing degrees in things that I can't even name. We have students taking courses in things that I won't even say. That's the kind of student body that we're dealing with. We have a real dynamic, culturally diverse crowd here. And if you are an upstart company or a Fortune 500 company, 100 company, this is a talent pool that is unlike any other in the nation. You definitely have to come here. If you're listening, definitely come here. We both have career fairs. We both have programs that will help structure or establish strong relationships with the universities and the student body to help streamline that recruitment process further with the company and our universities. And like I said, this talent pool is rich. This city is rich with talent and opportunities, both the north side, south side, east side, west side, the entire city in general. It's just really the place to be. It's definitely rising. And if you miss this chance to hop on this train, then we'll see you in a couple years waving at you from behind, because I don't know what else to tell you. You definitely want to come in here and invest and really look into the talent pool and see what this city offers, because you won't regret it. I promise you. That's on my name. You won't regret it.
Well, that's a good way
Fantastic.
to finish things up. Yeah. Rochards, we can't thank you enough for coming by. Thanks for your service on our board of directors, for starters. I mean,
I'm excited.
We like to try to get input and stories just like this that are part of our decision-making process, and it matters. And we know you keep a very busy schedule, and so for you to share some of that time with us, both in the podcast and at our board meetings throughout the remainder of your time here in Tallahassee, means a lot to us. And we wish you nothing but success in the miles ahead you have on your journey. But I think, like I said, we're all very confident you'll be doing some big things, and we just appreciate you loaning some of your time to be a part of the Chamber of Commerce for a little bit.
Thank you, guys. It was an honor to be here. This is awesome. Definitely not the last time that I'll be here. Of course, we'll interact on every single 19th or 29th for the rest of my time here in Tallahassee.
That's it.
Great.
I look forward to it. And again, if you're out there listening, definitely come visit this city. You won't miss it.
Well said. Well said. Well, folks, we sure do appreciate you tuning in as always. Told you I thought this was going to be a good show. I think and hope you'll find it as entertaining, as interesting as we did. Rochard Moricette, Student Body President at the Florida A&amp University.
Go Rochards.
That's it. Hey, and by the way, folks, they are having one hell of a football season this season.
8-1 so far.
8-1. They're marching. They got the Classic here in a couple weeks. Big things happening over there on the hill. It's really, really fun to see that program winning and being so successful. Willie Simmons from my native Gadsden County doing it right over there. Love it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So thanks again, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. And if you see Rochard out and about in town, make sure to say hello and tell him go Rattlers. And we appreciate him and everyone in that student body government and all the hard work they're doing to make one of our fine institutions perform so well. So thanks again for being with us. And as always, folks, if you want to tune in to any of the things that we have going on in Chamber World, you can visit us at www.talchamber, that's T-A-L, chamber.com, where you can listen in, subscribe, follow us along on all of our social media channels as well. We sure appreciate you. Thanks for being a part of the Chamber, and thanks for listening today. Talk to you soon.